The massive alien warship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, its hull gleaming dully in the distant sunlight. It moved slowly, unnaturally so for a vessel of its size and apparent power. Captain Tom Miller watched from the main observation deck of Repair Station Delta 7 as the ship limped toward them, trailing a faint ribbon of plasma from its damaged drive section. "Well, that's something you don't see every day," Tom said, rubbing his chin. The alien vessel was easily 3 times the size of the largest human ships, its dark metal surface covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift in the light. "Betty, what are we looking at?" The station's AI responded promptly. "Unknown vessel design, Captain. Hull composition matches no known materials in our database. Energy readings are unusual." Tom smiled. After 15 years running Earth's biggest repair station, unusual was exactly the kind of challenge he lived for. The station's massive repair base had handled everything from small trading vessels to damaged military cruisers, but this was their first encounter with such an advanced alien ship. The communication panel lit up with an incoming transmission. The alien captain's image appeared on the screen, their features hidden behind a translucent breathing mask. "Station Delta 7. This is Command Ship Valiant. We request emergency docking clearance." The voice was deep and carried a hint of desperation that the translator couldn't quite filter out. "This is Captain Miller. Clearance granted, Bay 4. What seems to be the problem?" There was a pause before the alien responded. "Our main drive suffered critical damage during a solar storm. We visited 3 repair stations of more advanced species. None could help." The alien's tone carried both pride and resignation. "We were told humans have a reputation for fixing the unfixable." Tom gestured to his crew to begin preparations. "We'll do our best. Send us your ship's specs while you dock." The alien ship's approach was careful, almost nervous. As it drew closer, Tom could see the extent of the damage. The drive section looked like it had been partially melted, with strange crystalline formations growing around the wounded areas. His engineering team would have their work cut out for them. In the docking bay, Tom led his best crew members to meet the alien visitors. The ship's massive hull towered above them, making the humans look tiny in comparison. A boarding ramp extended, and 5 tall figures descended. Their environmental suits were elegantly designed, with technology that made human spacesuits look like diving equipment from the previous century. The alien captain stepped forward. "I am First Commander Rax. I must warn you, our technology is far beyond your current level of advancement. Perhaps this was a mistake." Tom noticed how the commander's crew shifted uncomfortably, probably expecting to be turned away again. He smiled and pulled out an old tablet computer. "Well, Commander, why don't you show us what we're dealing with? Sometimes the oldest tools work best for diagnostics." The aliens exchanged glances as Tom approached their ship, tablet in hand. He walked slowly around the damaged section, occasionally stopping to make notes or take readings. To their visible surprise, he reached out and tapped the hull with a small metal tool, listening to the sound it made. "Interesting," Tom said, turning back to the group. "Your drive system's unique, but this damage pattern. I've seen something similar in old submarine reactor casings. Different scale, different tech, but the same basic problem." He pulled up a rough sketch on his tablet. "See these crystalline formations? They're following the stress patterns in your hull material. We can work with this." First Commander Rax leaned forward to study the simple diagram. "You believe you can repair our ship using submarine repair techniques?" "That's just the starting point," Tom replied. "Every problem has a solution if you understand the basics. Advanced tech is great, but sometimes you need to step back and look at the fundamental principles." He gestured toward the ship. "Would you like to see our initial repair plan?" The alien commander looked from Tom to the ship and back again. After a long moment, they nodded. "Show us, Captain Miller. Show us what humans can do." Jack Thompson stood before the alien ship's damaged drive section, holding nothing but an old wrench and a tablet. The lead engineer of Delta 7 had seen many strange things in his career, but this was different. Behind him, First Commander Rax and two alien engineers watched nervously as he approached their precious ship. "You're going to fix our quantum drive with manual tools?" one of the alien engineers asked, their translator barely hiding their disbelief. Jack smiled, twirling the wrench in his hand. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Your fancy tools couldn't even diagnose the problem, right?" He pointed to the crystalline formations growing along the hull. "These aren't just random damage. They're following the energy flow, just like ice formations in old Earth engines." He walked closer to the damaged section, his experienced eyes noting every detail. The alien metal seemed to shimmer and shift, but the pattern of damage was familiar. Jack had seen similar things in old nuclear submarines when their cooling systems failed. "Betty," he called out to the station's AI, "show them the comparison scan." A holographic display appeared, showing an old submarine reactor beside the alien drive. The damage patterns were almost identical, despite the vast technological gap between the two systems. "Impossible," the second alien engineer whispered. "Our technology operates on completely different principles." Jack shook his head. "Energy is energy. Heat is heat. Whether it's a nuclear reactor or a quantum drive, some basic rules don't change." He reached out and carefully tapped different sections of the crystal formations, listening to the sound each made. "Your ship's trying to tell us what's wrong. We just need to listen." The repair team began their work, using a mixture of advanced scanning equipment and what the aliens considered primitive tools. Jack led them, moving with the confidence of someone who had fixed impossible problems before. "Look here," he said, pointing to a particular pattern in the crystals. "Your drive's emergency systems tried to contain the damage by creating these formations, but they grew too quickly, too chaotically. We need to guide them, help them grow in the right direction." The alien engineers watched in horror as Jack pulled out what looked like a simple heating torch. "What are you doing?" First Commander Rax demanded. "That's a precision quantum matrix. You can't just..." But Jack was already working. The torch's flame, carefully adjusted to an exact temperature, began to soften the crystal formations. With practiced movements, he used the old wrench to carefully guide the molten material, reshaping it into a more stable pattern. "In the old days," Jack explained as he worked, "we had to repair nuclear submarines while they were still underwater. Couldn't use fancy tools then. Had to understand how the materials behaved, work with them instead of against them." He stepped back, examining his work. "Your ship's doing the same thing those old subs did, trying to protect itself. We just need to help it do the job right." Hours passed as the team worked. The aliens gradually moved from horror to fascination as they watched the humans combine simple tools with complex scanning equipment, treating their advanced technology with a mix of respect and practical innovation. Finally, Jack stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Betty, run a final scan." The station's AI hummed for a moment. Crystal formation stabilized. Energy flow patterns returning to normal parameters. Drive integrity at 97% and rising. The alien engineers rushed to their own diagnostics panels, checking and rechecking the readings. First Commander Rax stared at the display in disbelief. This is impossible. The damage is repairing itself." "Not impossible," Jack said, putting away his tools. "We just helped your ship's systems do what they were trying to do all along. Sometimes you don't need to replace or rebuild. Sometimes you just need to understand the basics and work with what you've got." He turned to the amazed aliens with a grin. "Now, who wants to learn how we did that? Because this is just the beginning of what humans can teach you about repairs." 3 months after repairing First Commander Rax's ship, Repair Station Delta 7 had changed dramatically. Captain Tom Miller stood at his favorite observation spot, watching as yet another alien vessel prepared to dock. This one was different from any they'd seen before. A massive cargo ship with what looked like living tissue mixed into its hull structure. "Betty, How many ships are in the waiting queue now? Tom asked, sipping his morning coffee. 17 vessels from 12 different species, Captain. Current wait time is 3 standard Earth weeks. The AI paused. And we've received 28 new repair requests in the last hour alone. Tom nearly choked on his coffee. 28? In an hour. It seems First Commander Rax has been enthusiastic in spreading news about our abilities. The recording of Jack's repair work has gone viral across 3 major galactic trade networks. The station's main communication screen lit up with multiple incoming calls, representatives from various species, all seeking help with impossible repairs. Some offered incredible sums of money. Others promised advanced technology in exchange. A few simply begged. Jack walked into the observation room, looking tired but happy. Just finished with the light sail ship from the Centauri sector. You won't believe what we found. They were using quantum filaments like ropes. Reminded me of fixing fishing nets with my grandfather. Good work, Tom said, then gestured at the screen full of requests. But we've got a new problem. We're getting more ships than we can handle. Actually, that might be an opportunity. Jack pulled out his tablet, showing a design he'd been working on. Remember how we trained those alien engineers from Rax's ship? What if we expanded? Made this place a real teaching center. Tom studied the plans. Jack had sketched out an expansion of Delta 7 with new repair bays and, more importantly, training facilities. You want to teach alien engineers our repair methods. Why not? They've got the advanced tech. We've got the know-how. Mix them together and everyone wins. Before Tom could respond, Betty's voice interrupted. Emergency call from Earth Central Command. Priority 1. The main screen switched to show Admiral Rogers, her expression serious but excited. Captain Miller, I assume you're aware of the situation. The repair requests. Yes, Admiral. It's getting a bit overwhelming. It's more than that, Captain. Every major species in the galaxy is suddenly interested in human engineering expertise. The diplomatic opportunities are significant. She smiled. How quickly can you expand your operation? Over the next few weeks, Delta 7 transformed. New repair bays sprouted from the station like metal flowers opening to the stars. Engineers from Earth's best technical schools arrived daily, eager to join the growing operation. Each brought their own specialties. Submarine technicians, classic car mechanics, engineering professors, even a few old-school watchmakers. The alien ships kept coming. Each brought new challenges, and each challenge taught the humans something new. A ship with living crystals for engines, another that used controlled miniature black holes for power, some that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. But the humans, with their mix of practical knowledge and willingness to learn, found ways to help them all. They discovered that the principles of fixing a 20th century car engine could be applied to quantum drives. That techniques for repairing old pocket watches worked perfectly on alien time dilation devices. One morning, Tom watched as Jack taught a group of alien engineers how to diagnose engine problems by sound and vibration. The aliens, beings from worlds hundreds of light years apart, sat fascinated as the human explained concepts their advanced sensors had never considered. You know what's funny? Jack said later, as they watched the station's newest repair bay being constructed. These aliens spent thousands of years advancing their technology, making it more and more complex. They forgot the basics along the way. But humans, we kept it all. Every bit of knowledge, from fixing stone tools to quantum computers. Turns out that's our real strength. Tom nodded, looking out at the fleet of waiting ships. And now they're all coming to learn from us. The students become the teachers, Jack grinned. Not bad for a bunch of primitive humans, right? The alarm woke Tom from a deep sleep at 3 a.m. Earth time. Red lights flashed throughout his quarters as Betty's voice rang out with unusual urgency. Captain Miller, emergency situation. Refugee ship approaching. Multiple critical failures detected. Life support systems failing. Estimated 8,000 civilians aboard. Tom was already pulling on his uniform. "Get Jack and the emergency team to Bay 1. How long until they reach us?" 17 minutes. "Captain, their reactor is highly unstable." The main observation deck was chaos when Tom arrived. The massive refugee ship filled the viewport, its hull glowing an angry red in places it shouldn't. Strange energy patterns rippled across its surface like lightning on a storm cloud. Jack burst in, still zipping up his work suit. "We've got trouble, Tom. Really big trouble." He pointed to his tablet. "Look at these readings. Their main reactor isn't just failing. It's eating itself. Never seen anything like it." The ship grew larger in the viewport. It was easily the biggest vessel they'd ever attempted to help, nearly 5 times the size of First Commander Rax's warship. Escape pods dotted its hull, but most appeared damaged or offline. "Betty, open emergency channel," Tom ordered. "Incoming vessel. This is Repair Station Delta 7. We see your situation. Can you hold together for docking?" The response came through filled with static. "Delta 7, thank the stars. We've lost control of most systems. Reactor containment at 31% and falling. Children, we have 2,000 children aboard." Tom felt his heart skip. 2,000 kids, 6,000 adults, all depending on them, figuring out something nobody had ever seen before. "Jack, options." The engineer was already organizing teams. "We can't fix this from the outside. Too big, too complex." He looked up, his face grim. "I need to go aboard." "That's suicide," Tom protested. "The radiation levels alone." "Got no choice. But I've got an idea." Jack turned to the alien engineering students who had gathered nearby. "Remember what we taught you about old Earth nuclear reactors? About manual CRAM procedures?" The aliens nodded, their various environmental suits glowing in the emergency lights. "Good, because we're about to do something crazy." Jack grabbed his toolkit. "Betty, get me the old Russian submarine manual. The one about emergency reactor shutdown procedures. And find me every bit of radiation shielding we've got." The next few minutes were a blur of activity. The refugee ship docked with a screech of protesting metal. Jack led a mixed team of human and alien engineers toward the airlock, all carrying what looked like primitive manual tools alongside advanced alien tech. "Listen up," Jack shouted to his team. "Their reactor's different from anything we've seen, but the principles are the same. Energy is energy. Heat is heat. We go in, we find the manual controls, we shut it down the old-fashioned way." Tom watched from the control room as the team entered the massive ship. Through their helmet cameras, he could see the interior, corridors filled with frightened aliens, emergency lights casting strange shadows, and the ever-present glow of the failing reactor core. Reaching the reactor control room, Jack's voice crackled through the comm. "Betty, compare these readings with the submarine manual. Look for matching patterns." "Processing," Betty replied. "Pattern match found. Warning, reactor deterioration accelerating." The next few minutes were the longest of Tom's life. He watched through Jack's camera as the team worked, their tools looking absurdly simple next to the advanced alien technology. But they moved with purpose, following patterns learned from centuries of human experience with dangerous power systems. "Got it." Jack's voice suddenly cut through the tension. "Betty, confirm readings. Reactor containment stabilizing. Power levels dropping. Temperature decreasing." A cheer went up in the control room. But Jack wasn't done. "Now comes the hard part," he said, his voice tired but determined. "We've got to repair it. And I think I know how. Remember that trick we used on Rax's ship? The one with the crystals?" Tom smiled despite his exhaustion. They weren't out of danger yet, but he knew that tone in Jack's voice. It was the same tone that had solved every impossible problem they'd faced so far. "Do it," he ordered. "Show them what humans can do when the pressure's on." Inside the refugee ship's reactor room, Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. Despite his suit's cooling system, the alien reactor towered above them, its core still glowing with dangerous energy even after the emergency shutdown. Strange patterns of light danced across its surface, reminding him of the northern lights back on Earth. "Okay, team," he said to the mixed group of human and alien engineers around him. "The shutdown bought us time, but this reactor's still damaged. We need to repair it before these people can get home." One of the alien students, a tall being named Rod, moved closer to scan the reactor. "The containment field is failing at the quantum level. Even our most advanced ships can't repair quantum damage this severe." Jack smiled inside his helmet. "Maybe that's the problem. You're thinking too advanced." He pulled out his tablet and brought up the scan they'd made of First Commander Rax's ship months ago. "Remember how those crystals formed naturally to contain the damage? What if we could do that here, but controlled?" "But this is completely different technology," another alien engineer protested. "Is it?" Jack walked around the reactor core, his experienced eyes noting patterns in the energy fluctuations. "Energy wants to flow in certain ways. It's like a river. You can build all the fancy dams you want, but water still follows the path of least resistance." He turned to his human teammates. "Remember those old experiments with crystal growth in high school? How you could guide them with electricity and temperature?" Several of them nodded, beginning to understand where he was going. "Betty," Jack called through his comm, "I need you to analyze these energy patterns. Compare them to natural crystal formation patterns in Earth's geology database." The AI worked quickly. "Match found. Patterns similar to quartz crystal growth under electromagnetic influence." "Perfect." Jack turned to his team. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the ship's own damaged containment field to grow a new one, like growing a pearl around a grain of sand." The next hour was a careful dance of old and new technology. They used advanced alien sensors to map the quantum damage, but controlled the repair with simple electromagnetic fields generated by modified Earth equipment. The alien engineers watched in amazement as Jack guided the energy patterns using principles learned from high school science experiments. "Look there," Rod pointed excitedly at the reactor surface. Tiny crystals were forming, each one perfectly aligned with the quantum field. The damaged areas were healing themselves, guided by the simple electromagnetic framework the humans had created. "It's working," Jack grinned. "Betty, status report." "Containment field strength increasing. Crystal matrix showing 99.97% quantum alignment. Reactor stability at 85% and rising." The alien chief engineer of the refugee ship entered the reactor room, staring in disbelief at the readings. "How? Our best scientists said this kind of damage was irreparable." "Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones," Jack explained, pointing to the growing crystal pattern. "Your advanced technology tries to force quantum particles to behave. We just help them do what they naturally want to do." Tom's voice came through the comm. "Jack, you're not going to believe this." The refugee ship's quantum communication system just lit up. "Half the galaxy is watching what you're doing right now." "Good," Jack replied, watching as the last patches of damage were sealed by the growing crystal matrix. "Let them watch. Let them see that humanity's primitive understanding of basic principles can solve problems their advanced technology can't touch." The reactor's glow steadied, changing from angry red to a healthy blue. The crystals had formed a perfect natural containment field, stronger than the artificial one it replaced. "Reactor stability at 100%, Betty announced. "New containment field exceeding original specifications by 27%. A cheer went up from both human and alien crew members. But Jack was already thinking ahead, his mind racing with possibilities. "You know what this means?" he asked the gathered engineers. "We just invented a whole new way of handling quantum containment. Not with fancy tech, but by understanding and working with natural processes." The alien engineers crowded around him, their earlier doubts forgotten, eager to learn more about this new approach that combined the best of both worlds, human insight and alien technology. 1 month after the refugee ship incident, Repair Station Delta 7 hosted the first Galactic Engineering Conference. The station's largest bay had been converted into a meeting hall, filled with representatives from over 50 alien species. Tom stood at the back, watching Jack demonstrate repair techniques to an eager audience. "And that's why understanding rust can help you fix quantum degradation," Jack explained, pointing to a holographic display showing the similarities between iron oxide formation and quantum field decay. "The patterns are the same, just at different scales." The alien engineers took rapid notes. Some used advanced quantum computers, while others had chosen to follow the human example of using simple tablets and even paper notebooks. They had learned that sometimes the old ways were the most reliable. "Captain Miller." Betty's voice came through his private comm. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived for their inspection." Tom straightened his uniform. This visit could change everything. The Council controlled galactic trade routes, technology sharing, and species rankings. Their opinion of human engineering methods would affect Earth's position in the galactic community. The Council members were an impressive sight. 12 beings from the oldest and most advanced civilizations in known space. They moved through the station with an air of authority, watching everything with critical eyes. "Impressive," the lead council member, a tall being made of shifting light patterns, commented as they watched a human team repair a damaged time drive using techniques adapted from fixing old pocket watches. "But surely these primitive methods cannot be standardized." Tom smiled. "Actually, we've already started." He led them to a new section of the station where Rod, their former alien student, was teaching a class. "The humans call this diagnosis by sound," Rod explained to his students, tapping different parts of an engine and listening carefully. "No quantum scanner can match the precision of a well-trained ear." The council members exchanged looks. In the repair bay next door, they watched as a mixed team of humans and aliens fixed a faster-than-light drive using principles learned from studying Earth's ocean currents. "This is more than just repairs," another council member observed. "You're creating an entirely new engineering philosophy." "Exactly," Tom replied. "We're not replacing advanced technology. We're helping everyone understand the basic principles behind it. When you understand the basics, you can fix anything." The tour continued through the station. They saw classes teaching everything from basic mechanical principles to advanced quantum theory, all based on human understanding of natural processes. In each room, aliens and humans worked together, sharing knowledge and creating new solutions. "And these methods work on all technologies?" a skeptical council member asked. Jack, who had finished his demonstration, joined them. "Better than work," he said. "They improve them. Remember that refugee ship's reactor, the crystal containment field we grew. It's 30% more efficient than the original design. Now everyone wants that upgrade." The council's final stop was the station's new teaching center. Hundreds of alien engineers from across the galaxy sat in classes taught by human experts in various fields: mechanics, electricians, plumbers, and more. Each brought their own practical experience to help understand the most advanced technology in the universe. "We've received applications from over 2,000 alien engineers wanting to learn here," Tom explained, "and requests from 15 species to build similar stations in their systems." The council members huddled together, discussing in their own languages. Finally, the lead member turned to Tom. "We have made our decision. Earth's repair stations will become mandatory checkpoints on all major trade routes. Additionally, we are upgrading Earth's technological rating to Level A, with a special designation in engineering sciences." Tom blinked in surprise. Level A was reserved for the most advanced civilizations, but our technology is not the most advanced, the council member agreed. "But your understanding of fundamental principles and your ability to teach them to others is unmatched. Sometimes the oldest knowledge is the most valuable." As the council members left, Tom looked around at his station. Humans and aliens working together, teaching and learning from each other, solving problems in ways neither could have managed alone. Not bad for a bunch of primitive engineers, huh? Jack grinned, standing beside him. No, Tom smiled. Not bad at all. 5 years after the refugee ship incident, Captain Tom Miller stood in the observation dome of the New Earth Central Engineering Academy. Below him stretched a campus larger than many cities, filled with students from hundreds of alien species learning the art of human-style engineering. Remember when we thought fixing First Commander Rax's ship was a big deal? Jack asked, joining him at the window. His friend had aged a bit, gray showing in his hair, but his eyes still held that same excited spark when facing a new challenge. Speaking of Rax, Tom smiled. Guess who's arriving today? A familiar ship appeared in the distance, but very different from the damaged vessel that had limped into Delta 7 years ago. The once simple warship now sported modifications based on human engineering principles, including the crystal containment field technology they'd developed during the refugee crisis. Hard to believe that's the same ship, Jack said. Even harder to believe Rax is now heading the Galactic Engineering Council. They watched as the ship docked smoothly at one of the Academy's many landing pads. First Commander Rax, now High Engineer Rax, emerged looking much more confident than during their first meeting. My friends, Rax called out as they met him in the reception area. The new training centers in the Andromeda Galaxy are ready. We're expanding faster than expected. Tom nodded proudly. Earth had become the center of a new engineering revolution. Their repair techniques had spread across 2 galaxies, with more regions requesting training centers every day. But more importantly, the human approach to problem-solving had changed how species view technology. Show me the latest innovations, Rax requested eagerly. They led him through the Academy's research labs, where teams of humans and aliens worked together on new projects. In one lab, they watched a group using principles from Earth's ancient pottery making to improve spacecraft hull designs. In another, students studied how old-fashioned blacksmithing techniques could be applied to manipulating quantum fields. You know what's funny? Jack said as they walked. We thought we were just fixing ships, but we ended up fixing something much bigger. He pointed to a classroom where young aliens sat with human instructors, learning to trust their basic senses alongside advanced technology. In another room, human students learned alien quantum theory while teaching their alien classmates about simple mechanical principles. We broke down the barriers between advanced technology and basic understanding, Tom agreed. Showed everyone that progress isn't just about making things more complex. They reached the Academy's pride and joy, the Historical Engineering Museum. Inside, displays showed the progression of human engineering through the ages, from simple stone tools to modern quantum mechanics. Each exhibit demonstrated how ancient principles still applied to the most advanced technology. This is why we come to learn from humans, Rax said, studying a display about lever principles being used in modern gravity manipulation. Your species never forgot its roots. You carry all your knowledge forward, building on it instead of replacing it. A group of alien students passed by, carrying both quantum computers and simple wrenches in their tool belts. They had learned, as all Academy students did, that true engineering meant understanding technology at every level. The latest statistics are in, Betty's voice announced through the Academy's comm system. Employment rate for Academy graduates remains at 100%. Average repair success rate across all stations, 98%. Number of participating species, 412 and growing. Tom smiled, remembering that first desperate repair job that had started it all. We've come a long way from fixing one damaged ship. But we're not done yet, Jack added with his characteristic enthusiasm. There's always something new to learn, some new problem to solve. That's the human way. Always curious, always learning, always finding new ways to use old knowledge. As they watched the sun set through the Academy's dome, casting golden light across the bustling campus, Tom realized they had achieved something greater than just technical expertise. They had brought together the old and the new, the simple and the advanced, creating something that would last for generations. You know what? he said, watching human and alien students leave their classes together, all carrying their mixed full sets of advanced technology and simple instruments. This is humanity's real legacy, not just fixing ships, but teaching the galaxy that sometimes the best way forward is to remember where you came from.